G'day guys, Bloody Drongo here with you, aka Emu, and welcome back to another Wurm Online video. And this will hopefully mark the beginning of a new series for me. That will depend on the feedback from you guys as to whether you enjoy it or not. And what I am planning to do is start doing some village showcases of villages from both the PvP and PvE servers. And yeah, just show you around and hopefully give both new players and experienced players a little demonstration of what is possible with the fantastic little sandbox game that we have here in terms of building and construction and all that sort of good stuff. And well, I don't really know that many villages, so I thought why not start off with one of my own. So we are on the Chaos server, and we are checking out my village Kratos, which we are currently running up to now. There we go, we'll get rid of that UI there. And as you can see, we are currently looking towards a very big dirt wall, and this is known as Hades Wall, and this was built during the Great Sparta and Kratos Wars. Sparta was about 5 minutes ride that way. It's gone now, but yes, that was a JK stronghold for a very long time, and yeah, this was well, the construction of this began during the peak of the fighting back then, and yeah, we've slowly been chipping away at it, and still not quite done, but it's getting there. And up there you can see the longhouses that actually make up Kratos itself. Eventually Hades Wall probably will be longhoused, but we'll see how it all goes. So we're approaching from the north here. Once you get to the base of Hades Wall here, so it's quite an impressive little feat this. You get through and go through the mines. Something you will find as a common theme inside Kratos is the abundance of mines connecting all the different little areas together. This has multiples of purposes, but its primary one being that it allows our travel routes between the different tiers and areas within Kratos to be very isolated and secure. So because this is a PvP server, if ever one mine is ever breached and the enemy get into there, then they will only gain a very small amount of ground, and they will have to breach another mine after that, and another mine, and another mine. Unless they want to go start climbing up the dirt walls and doing all that sort of stuff, which is a little bit of an insane concept, especially on some of the steeper sides on Kratos here. So we are now south of Hades Wall, and we are looking at Kratos, so you can start to get a feel of what Kratos is really like. We've got multiple tiers. There's much more than you can actually, well, not much more, there's a fair bit more than you can actually see here. And then we have the Kratos Desert here. This once upon a time was a big forest, but it's been slowly whittled back over time, and I've recently been doing a little bit of wood cutting, grinding, and done a little bit of chipping away at it myself. Yeah, we'll go down and start to take a look at the individual tiers that make up Kratos and their various uses, and we'll also check out some of the mines and that kind of thing. Okay, so we have now found our way onto the farm tier, and this is known as the farm tier for quite obvious reasons, primarily being that this is where the Kratos farms are. It's quite a modest sized farm, obviously with being on a mountainside. We are somewhat limited on space, so we have to be fairly sensible in how we allocate our room. And if we take a little stroll along here, further along the walls, we'll take a quick little peek into the Kratos breeding pens, which Rosie is in charge of and does not let me touch, so I'm not able to actually get in there. So this will be the closest we get. Okay, so that's that is the Kratos breeding pens and the farm tier, and we'll find our way back through these longhouses. all of the edges of the defenses are all longhoused to try and provide maximum security for our citizens and villagers. And next stop will be up where I'm looking now, which is tier 3.5. Okay, so we have now found our way up onto tier 3.5, which was where we just saw on the previous tier. And this is, as you can see, a housing tier. There's lots of players' houses, various abodes for players both active and currently inactive, and also sort of, I don't know, it gives you, I guess, a cramped, I guess you would say. It's not quite as open as some of the PvE server deeds. It's certainly not quite as flashy in some respects, but it's still quite nice. And here is one of the many deadly doors that we have around Kratos. You walk out the wrong one and you will find yourself in a spot of bother very, very quickly. But we can see down onto the desert, where we started off the video from here. So we are quite high up. Kratos is very lucky in that its geographical location and the terrain surrounding it mean it's very naturally fortified without any of the long houses and dirt walls and all that sort of good stuff. Now our next stop will not be up there. We'll check out that one very soon, but our next stop will actually be up. Whoop, whoop, there we go. Up to where I'm looking now, the Colossus tier. Okay, so on the way, I figured I would just show you some of the mines. All of the mines in Kratos are completely reinforced to make sure they are completely secure from enemy attacks, or at least any enemy attacks that are quite fleeting or not highly committed. So every single mine on deed is completely reinforced, which is very important. Because it means that you have to drain the deed before you can even think about disintegrating and breaking in any of the walls, and instead you will have to spend your time bashing mine doors, which, considering all of the mine doors are 80 to 90 quality, means that you will be spending a huge amount of time doing so. And up here we would have the rare Colossus of Kratos, but it appears to have bugged out for me and is not rendering, which is wonderful. Fantastic. It's just what I needed. Yeah, up here we can sort of see down onto tier 3, 3.5, and you can see the Hellhorse breeding pen down there, and yeah, you can see up to I think if we run over here we'll be able to see no, not really. No, it's never mind. But our next stop will be tier 3. Okay, so we are now on tier 3. Tier 3 is also, well, it will soon be known as the Embassy tier, and this is because all the other Alliance villages in the Empire of Morrihan will have little houses set up here that their village can access, that has beds and all that kind of good stuff, so that if they ever come to Kratos to visit or to do a bit of hunting, to help defend or whatever, they all have a area to sleep and store their things and all that necessary stuff that Wormians need. We recently demolished a few buildings and stuff here, and we are under the process of revamping the whole area to make it look a little bit neater and prettier as yeah, as we go. Everything here that you see is always undergoing changes and progress, and yeah, we're always working on it. Our next stop will be where I'm looking now, which is tier 2. Okay, so now we find ourselves on tier 2, which is actually the first housing tier that was ever built in Kratos, and because of that, its long-standing nature has always been considered as a sort of a vocal point of the whole village, and this rare altar here has served as a meeting point for sermons and other little bits and pieces for many times in the past, and yeah, many people live up here. It's quite nice. Again, it's I guess quite more cramped up than a lot of the PvE deeds, but well, I mean, when you're as tight going on space as we are, and we also have to keep in mind all the necessary requirements for defenses and that kind of thing, yeah, you have to be kind of, I guess, you have to design the deed around those factors with functionality in mind rather than aesthetics. But we will be remodeling a lot of this in the near future. And this house here, the red one, that is actually my house. It's not much to look at. I may take a little, maybe take a little sneak peek in there in another video. Actually, you've probably already seen it in some of my other videos anyway, so never mind about that. Okay, so now we are on Tier 1, which was the actual, the only part of Kratos that was ever existed. The only part that actually was in almost a semi-functional existence before we founded the village and began working on it. We had to do a bit of surface mining to flatten it down, and then we had to raise it a few of the corners up by a fair bit, and but yeah, we got there in the end, and this is where it all sort of started, I guess. The very first tier that we worked on, it of course has the token and all that sort of good stuff on it. We're going to climb up the bell tower here just quickly, which is one of the taller buildings in Kratos, but it also, because Tier 1 is actually on the very peak, it's the highest point of the mountain, and we should be able to get a fairly good view from up here. Hopefully. I don't know why I don't actually have a keybind set up for climbing stairs, but there you go. Alrighty, okay, so down to the south here we have what used to be JK and BL lands, but now has multiple MR villages down to the south. I'm going to try not to fall off the side there because that would be horrific. Looking over this direction you have the Hota, and near the white light there you have the village of Meth. And then if we look up to the north, you can sort of see the desert that we rode in on earlier. And if we look down this side, you can see some of the tiers on the mountain there. So it's a fairly impressive sort of building. This one. There we have the tower's not rendering it either, but we do have a rare guard tower there for the token. I promise you, I'm not tricking. But we're going to climb down now and check out probably the remaining largely notable part of Kratos, which would be the boat mine and boat exit. Okay, so here we are outside the Kratos boat mine. I showed you the east entrance, which is where we came in, and this is the west entrance, which is via the sea. And it's overlooked by our two Magrenon Colossi, which look simply fantastic. You can see the bell tower up there of Tier 1, which is where we took a little bit of a climb up just before, and we'll sail our way back in. If I can tack in against this wind, which is being completely horrible, but yeah, you can, I don't know, as far as entrances to boat mines go, this is a pretty impressive one, I think, at least. And once we get inside, we have the Kratos boat mine, and this has been a bit of a love child for me. I've spent a great deal of time working on this. It's pretty much the only reason that I have anything over about 80 mining. As you can see, the ceilings are very high, which is due to the fact that we started off a lot higher and then leveled it all down. And you can see here that Mulrihan players are not renowned for their parking skills. That guy there is going to get a ticket. We don't allow NARs to be parked like that. That's just ridiculous. But yeah, this is as far as mines go, I guess, at least in my mind, it's one of the more impressive ones. It's pretty nice. And I mean, the whole thing's completely reinforced in. We've mined a perimeter passage around the outside of it, allowing us to go around and do all of the circular reinforcements for it. And yeah, in the future we will be expanding this whole boat mine out a lot more, so that it is, well, it goes a lot further than the render distance which is possible for underground. And yeah, that pretty much rounds out the video now. I certainly hope that you've enjoyed this little sneak peek of Kratos. If you're interested in joining Kratos, then I will leave relevant links to the to go about signing up to Empire of Mol Rihan in the description below. And also, if you are interested in having a village showcase of your own, whether you play on any of the PvE servers or PvP clusters, I would be more than happy to come around, shoot some video, have a bit of a tour around your village, and help showcase Wurm in general, regardless of affiliations or who you are or anything like that. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it all. Let me know what you think of the video in the comment section below or on the Wurm Online forums, where I will be posting this video. And until next time, guys, stop playing with yourself and play with somebody else. Catch you later.